Welcome to the English Audio Club. Today, I'm going to share how I started speaking English in my daily life. You can also become fluent by learning from my experience. So, let's begin. My name is Ruby. I am a student. I'm learning English because I want to speak it well. I live in a small town called Maple Hill. It's a quiet place, but there's no English school here. Still, I really want to learn English. So I decided to go to the city. I took a bus to a place called Riverdale. I carried my bag and my notebook. At first, I felt nervous because I didn't know anyone in Riverdale. Luckily, I found a small English school. The school was nice, and the people were friendly. I met my teacher named Sarah. She was kind and funny, and she spoke slowly, which helped me understand her. There were other students in the class, and they came from different towns and countries. We all wanted to learn English, so we spoke a little, helped each other, laughed, and talked together. Our teacher always said, "Speak English every day. Don't be afraid to make mistakes." She also said, "English is for communication. You don't have to study grammar all the time." In class, we played games, told stories, listened to music, and spoke in English. We didn't use big textbooks or memorize difficult rules. We used English like a real language. Day by day, I spoke more and more. I felt happy, understood better, and made new friends. I wasn't scared anymore. The city helped me, the school helped me, my teacher helped me, and most of all, I helped myself. I came to Riverdale to learn English. Now I can speak in English. One Wednesday, I went to school feeling happy because I was going to start my first job the next day. I wanted to tell my teacher. I arrived early, and some students were already there. I greeted my teacher and said, "I found a job." She smiled and asked, "That's great news. What's your job?" I replied, "I will work in a café. I'll be a waiter." She said, "That's a great job for practicing English." I smiled and felt ready. That day, our lesson was about jobs. Every student shared their dream job. One wanted to be a nurse, and another wanted to be a driver. I said, "I want to speak English better. My job can help me." Later, the teacher asked us to talk in pairs. I spoke with Leo, a student from Brazil. He worked in a shop and helped customers in English. He said, "At first, I was shy. But now I feel better. I speak with many people." After class, I went home and thought about my first day of work. I wanted to do well and speak clearly. I read some cafe-related words like cup, plate, menu, order, and table. I wrote them in my notebook and practiced saying them out loud. On Thursday, I woke up early, took a shower, wore clean clothes, and went to the cafe. It was small but nice, with many tables and chairs. Some people were eating, and some were drinking coffee. I met the manager named Lisa. She smiled and said, "Welcome. My name is Lisa." I replied, "Hello, I'm Ruby. Nice to meet you." Lisa gave me a short training session. She showed me how to take orders and clean tables. I listened carefully, and then I started working. A man came to a table, and I walked over and said, "Good morning. Can I help you?" He replied, "Yes, I want a coffee and a sandwich." I wrote it down and said, "1 coffee, 1 sandwich." "Thank you." I took the order to the kitchen. At first, I was a little slow, but I did my best. After some time, I became more confident. I started using more words and speaking with more people. Some customers spoke quickly, and I didn't understand everything, so I asked, "Can you say that again, please?" Most people were kind and spoke more slowly. I learned many new words at work, words like napkin, tray, bill, change, and customer. I saw and heard them every day, so I remembered them without writing them down. My teacher was right. The best way to learn is by using words in real situations. I finished work in the evening. I was tired, but I felt proud. I had spoken English for many hours with customers and co-workers. I didn't understand every word, but I understood a lot. At home, I thought about my day and repeated the new words out loud. Tray, bill, napkin. I smiled. I liked learning this way. The next day, I went back to school and told my teacher about my first day at work. She said, "You did a great job, Ruby." In class, we talked about work, and our teacher gave us a short reading about cafes. The text was easy, and I understood most of it. Some words were new, but I could guess their meaning. I followed the method my teacher taught us. I read every day. I worked at the cafe and used English in real situations. I learned new words by reading and speaking. I didn't study hard or write long vocabulary lists. I just lived in English. After 1 week, I knew many new words. I could say full sentences, and I spoke with confidence. My teacher said, "You are improving fast," and I felt proud when I heard that. Learning English is not easy, but when you speak and read every day, it becomes easier. I learned from school, from my job, and from the people around me. Chapter 2, My Second Day at Work. It was Thursday, my second day at the cafe, and today was special. I would speak with more customers, and I wanted to speak clearly. I wanted them to understand me. I remembered what our teacher told us yesterday. Repeat after native speakers. Do shadowing. So in the morning, I practiced. I opened a video on my phone. A man spoke English slowly and clearly. I listened and repeated after him, trying to speak just like him. I moved my mouth the same way and tried to sound like him. This technique is called shadowing. I did it for 10 minutes and felt ready. When I arrived at the cafe, my manager smiled and said, "Hello, Ruby. Are you ready for today?" I smiled back and said, "Yes, I am ready." I felt good. I wanted to practice speaking more, so I picked up the menu and read it to myself: sandwich, coffee, tea, cake, juice, salad. I said each word slowly and clearly, remembering the way the speaker in the video pronounced them. The first customer came, a woman. She said, "Hello," and I replied, "Good morning. Can I help you?" She said, "Yes, I want a tea and a piece of cake." I repeated her order, 1 tea and 1 piece of cake. Thank you. I tried to copy her rhythm and tone. She smiled and understood me, and I felt proud. My pronunciation was better today. I spoke slower and opened my mouth more. I didn't feel shy anymore. More customers came, and I spoke with each one. Some people spoke fast, and I didn't always understand. When that happened, I asked, "Can you say that again, please?" Slowly. Most people were kind, and I could understand them after they repeated. I also listened carefully to my co-workers. One of them, from Spain, spoke English well. I paid attention to how he said things. When he gave coffee, he said, "Here's your coffee." I liked that and started saying the same thing to my customers. I practiced all the time. During my break, I sat with another worker named Marco from Italy. We talked in English. He said, "Your English is good." I replied, "Thank you. I practice every day." He asked how I practiced, and I told him about shadowing. He said, "That sounds interesting. I want to try it too." After work, I went home tired but happy. I had worked hard and spoken a lot of English. I looked in the mirror and practiced again. The next day at school, our teacher asked, "Did anyone try the shadowing technique?" I raised my hand and said, "Yes, I did." I used a video and copied the words before work. The teacher smiled and said, "Very good, Ruby. Did it help you?" I replied, "Yes, I feel better. I speak with more confidence." Other students were curious and wanted to try it too. We practiced shadowing in class. The teacher played a short video, and we all repeated after the speaker. The voice said, "Where are you from?" and we all repeated, "Where are you from?" Then, "I'm from Mexico," and we said, "I'm from Mexico." We laughed. It was fun. We were learning and enjoying it at the same time. The teacher said, "You can do shadowing at home, just 10 minutes a day. Use English you like, a video, a podcast, a song. Just listen and repeat. Your mouth will learn new sounds." After class, I went to football training. I spoke English with the other players. We talked about football, school, and food. I learned many new words and spoke more clearly. I saw that shadowing worked. I wanted to do it every day. It was simple and useful. I learned by listening and speaking. That night, before bed, I listened to a short story in English and repeated after the speaker. I didn't worry about mistakes, I just tried. I spoke more and learned more. When you want good pronunciation, listen carefully. Repeat what you hear. Move your mouth. Don't be shy. Chapter 3, My Speaking Practice with a Friend. On Friday, I went to school again. I felt excited because I wanted to try a new technique called thinking aloud. I wanted to speak more and become more fluent. In class, our teacher talked more about speaking. She said, "To speak English well, you must speak a lot. The more you speak, the better you get." Then she added, "Today we will learn how to practice speaking in a simple way." One student asked, "But we are not here forever. What if we go home?" Who do we speak to? The teacher smiled and said, "That's a good question. Even in your own country, you can still practice speaking. I'll show you how." She explained 3 good ways to practice: speak with a friend, speak alone, or speak online. Then she said, "Today, we will practice with a friend." She put us in pairs. My partner was Leo from Brazil. We sat together, and the teacher said, "Now speak. Ask simple questions. Answer in full sentences. Speak for 5 minutes." I asked, "Where do you live, Leo?" He said, "I live near the school." "And you?" "I live with a host family," I replied. We continued asking questions. What do you eat for breakfast? What do you do after school? And what is your hobby? We spoke slowly and helped each other. I liked this kind of speaking. It was easy and not stressful. After 10 minutes, we stopped. The teacher said, "Good job. You just had a real conversation. You can do this every day." She gave us a small paper with topics like family, food, free time, weekend, travel, home, and work. Choose one topic, she said, and speak about it for 2 minutes. You can do this alone or with a partner. I chose free time and said, "In my free time, I play football. I also watch English movies. Sometimes I go to the café. I like music. I listen to English songs." My sentences were short, but I spoke without stopping. It was good practice. Then Leo spoke about food. He liked cooking, especially Brazilian food. He spoke slowly and clearly. I understood him well. After class, I walked home. On the way, I tried the thinking aloud technique. I looked at a shop and said, "This is a shop. It sells clothes. I like the blue shirt." Then I saw a woman with a dog and said, "The dog is small. It is white." I spoke quietly and didn't care if people looked at me. I felt like I was talking to myself, but it helped me practice English. I spoke slowly and clearly. I thought in English and said my thoughts out loud. It felt natural. I didn't need anyone. I could practice anytime. Chapter 4: Learning Grammar the Easy Way. That evening, I had dinner with my host family. They asked, "How was school today?" I smiled and said, "It was great. We practiced speaking a lot. I worked with Leo, and we asked each other questions." They smiled and replied, "That's wonderful. You're speaking more now. Your English is getting better." Their kind words made me feel proud. Before going to sleep, I looked up at the ceiling and whispered to myself, "Today was a good day. I learned new things. I had a conversation with a friend. I'm improving." The words were simple, but they were mine, and I said them clearly. The next day, I returned to the café. I greeted customers, "Good morning. What can I get for you?" I listened carefully to their orders and replied without hesitation. My English felt more natural. I didn't stop and think. I just spoke. It was Saturday, so there was no school, but I still wanted to learn. I remembered what my teacher said about grammar. You don't need to memorize grammar rules to speak well. Just read and listen often. That idea made me feel relaxed. I made some tea and sat on my bed with a simple English storybook. I read one page and understood most of it. Some sentences were new, but I didn't stop. I read it again. Then I read it out loud, trying to sound like the voice in my head. I wasn't studying grammar. I was learning how sentences are built and how words fit together. One sentence said, "He is working in the café." I wondered why it used "is working" instead of "works." I didn't open a grammar book. I thought maybe this form was for something happening now. Later I saw, "He works at the café." It felt more general, something true most of the time. I understood the difference by noticing the pattern, not by memorizing rules. Later that day, I went to work again. A customer said, "Can I have one tea and one piece of cake?" I replied, "Yes, of course." In my mind, I repeated the sentence, "Can I have?" I realized it was a polite way to ask. I liked it and decided to start using it too. After work, I practiced some useful phrases by myself. Can I have a coffee? Can I have the menu? I smiled because I knew I could use these phrases every day. When I got home, I visited an English grammar website and selected level 1000. I read the explanation for the present simple tense, and it was clear and easy to understand. The short example sentences helped me see that this tense is used for things that happen regularly. Then I looked at the rule for the present continuous tense and read examples like, "I am eating," "she is watching TV," and "they are working." Suddenly, the grammar I had seen in my book made sense. I realized that I learn best through examples. I didn't need to memorize rules, instead, I understood the grammar from the context. That evening, I read another story about a girl who wanted to travel. I really enjoyed it. Once again, I saw correct grammar used naturally in every sentence. I didn't stop to analyze, I just read and understood. On Monday afternoon, after school, I went home feeling good. Now I knew how many English words I understood. I knew my level, and I understood how I could keep improving. Later that evening, I visited the vocabulary website again and looked at my results. It said I knew 2,100 words, which meant I was at level 3. I felt happy and proud. I hadn't realized my English was already that strong. I called Leo and told him about the website. He said, "That's great. I want to find out my level too." I sent him the link. About 10 minutes later, he called me back. "I know 1,900 words," he said. "I'm very close to level 3. I replied, "That's really good. You'll reach level 3 very soon." The next day at school, our teacher asked, "How many of you took the vocabulary test yesterday?" Almost everyone raised their hand. She smiled and said, "That's wonderful. Now you know where you are in your learning, and that helps you move forward." One student asked, "Can we take the test again next week?" The teacher replied, "Yes, you can, but it's better to wait at least a month. That way, you'll see real progress. If you test every week, the changes will be too small to notice." Another student asked, "What's the best way to learn more words?" The teacher said, "The best way is simple. Read a lot and listen to English often. We already knew the website could help us learn English, but now we could also use it to track how many new words we learned each month. The teacher explained, some of you might learn 100 words in a month. Others might learn 300. It depends on how much English you use. Leo asked, is it bad if I only learn 50 new words in a month? She smiled and said, not at all. Every new word is important. If you learn 50 words, you're already better than last month. Just take small steps and keep moving forward. The most important thing is not to stop. Her words encouraged me. I thought, I can learn 100 new words next month. I'll read more. I'll listen more. I'll keep doing shadowing. I'll practice thinking aloud too. I went to the school library and picked a small English storybook for beginners. I read one page and understood most of it, though a few words were new. I looked them up in the dictionary, learned 3 new ones, and wrote them in my notebook with their meanings. Then I said the words aloud and made one sentence with each. That helped me remember them. At home, I read the same page again. This time, I understood everything. I felt proud and told myself, tomorrow, I'll read the next page. I want to keep learning. The next morning at the café, a customer said, can I get a cappuccino, please? I smiled and replied, of course. 1 cappuccino. I realized I understood everything he said. I also noticed I was speaking more clearly and confidently. Later that day, I thought about how far I've come. Just a month ago, I didn't feel confident. I didn't know many words. I wasn't sure how to practice. But now, I speak more, listen more, read more, and test my English regularly. Now I understand, learning English is like building a house. Each day, you add 1 brick. Every new word is 1 brick. Every sentence is 1 step forward. Every small test shows you how strong your house is becoming. I've decided to take another test next month. I want to see how much I've improved. I want to learn 100 more words and feel even stronger in English. When you want to know your level, take a test. Use it to guide your learning. Test yourself to see how far you've come. On Tuesday afternoon, I thought about something our teacher said that really stayed with me. Her words helped me because I often get nervous about making mistakes. I don't like saying the wrong thing. But now I understand, mistakes are normal. Everyone makes them. Even my teacher, who speaks English fluently, still makes mistakes when she speaks Spanish. That made me feel better. Later that night, I told my roommate what happened. She's from Brazil and is also learning English. She laughed and said, I make mistakes every day, but I don't care. If people understand me, I'm happy. I liked her attitude and wanted to think like her too. The next day at school, we started class by speaking in pairs. My partner was a boy from Turkey named Chemistry. He spoke slowly but tried hard. I listened carefully. He made some mistakes, but I still understood him. Then it was my turn. I also made mistakes, but Chemistry listened and understood me too. After the lesson, we talked outside. He said, "It's good to practice with someone who isn't afraid of making mistakes." I smiled and agreed. Our teacher was right, mistakes are part of learning. Chemistry told me, I read one short story every day. I also read it aloud. It helps. I said, "That's a good idea. I want to try that too." He showed me the story he was reading. It was 1 page long with simple words. That evening, I read the same story aloud. At first, I mispronounced a few words. I stopped and tried again, saying each sentence slowly. I listened to how it sounded and repeated it. The second time, it sounded much better. I felt proud. The next morning at work, I spoke with a new customer. He said, "Can I have a sandwich and a tea?" I replied, "Yes, 1 sandwich and 1 tea. With milk." He laughed and said, "No milk in the sandwich, thank you." We both laughed. I felt a little embarrassed, but he was friendly. I laughed too. Yes, it was a mistake, but the moment was fun. I remembered the advice: focus on the ideas, not the mistakes. I gave him the correct order, and we both smiled. Later, I wrote in my notebook, "Mistakes are okay. I learn from them. I speak. I learn. I improve." I write that sentence every day. After school, I talked to Monica. She said, "You speak better now." I said, "Thank you. I still make mistakes." She smiled and said, "We all do. That's part of learning. Don't stop." I told her, "I won't. I'll keep going." That night, I read another short story aloud. I found 3 new words and wrote them in my notebook. I made a sentence with each one. I made a mistake, but I fixed it. I felt better. Now, every mistake feels like a small step forward. I learn 1 step at a time. I'm not afraid to speak anymore. I just speak. If I say something wrong, that's okay. Next time, I'll say it better. Our teacher started the lesson by saying, "Today, we will talk more about remembering words." Yesterday, we spoke about the 5 phases of learning a word. Today, I'll give you some tips to help you move through those phases faster. She explained that it's important to see or hear a word many times. The more often you come across a word, the faster your brain will remember it. Here was her advice: if you want to remember new words, read a lot. You'll see the same words in different texts. Also, watch videos or listen to podcasts where people use natural English. Hearing the same words in different situations helps your brain connect meaning more effectively. I raised my hand and asked, "Is it helpful to write the word many times?" The teacher smiled and replied, "Yes, for many people, writing helps. But don't just write the word by itself, write full sentences that relate to your own life. For example, if the word is remember, you could write, "I want to remember all the new words." That makes the word more personal and easier to recall. She gave us another tip: when you see or hear a new word, try to use it immediately, in speech, or by thinking aloud. Even saying just 1 sentence helps. Use simple language. You don't need to sound like a textbook. Mix the words you already know with the new word. For instance, if the word is delicious, you could say, "This coffee is delicious." Now, you've used the word in real life. After class, I walked home. On the way, I saw a sign at a small café that read, "Try our delicious cakes." I smiled. I had just used the word delicious in class, and now I saw it again. It felt like magic. Later, I did a short shadowing session with a video. One word that stood out was hurry. I had heard it before, but now I understood it better. I said aloud, "I hurry to school every morning." I repeated it 3 times, and that helped me remember it. That night, I went to bed thinking about the new words. I didn't remember all of them. And that was okay. I knew I would see or hear them again soon. I reminded myself, I'm in the process. I'm moving step by step. The next day, our teacher gave us a small game. She said, "I'll say a word. If you know it, write a sentence with it. If you don't know it, write a question using the word and ask someone in class." We all enjoyed the game. When she said enjoy, I wrote, "I enjoy learning English." It was a simple sentence, but it felt good to use the word. Then I asked a classmate about the word borrow. She explained, it means to take something for a short time. She gave me an example, "Can I borrow your pen?" I remembered that and wrote it down. After school, I went to work. A customer came in and said, "I'm in a hurry. Can I have a sandwich quickly?" I heard the word hurry again, this time in real life. I smiled and replied, "Yes, of course." Now, that word had reached phase 5 for me. I could understand it and use it naturally. When I got home, I thought about how I learn new words. I wrote in my notebook, see the word, hear the word, use the word. Then you will remember it. When you want to remember words, give them time. Let your brain meet them again and again. Don't try to memorize everything at once. Just keep reading, listening, and speaking. The words will stay with you. If you want to remember a new word, meet it many times. Use it in your daily life. This is how you learn. Then she wrote 3 words on the board: listen, understand, speak. She said, these 3 go together. If you listen a lot, you'll understand more. And if you understand more, you'll speak better. She told us a story about one of her former students, Marco, who was from Brazil. When he first came to England, he didn't speak much English and couldn't understand what people were saying. He felt shy and afraid to speak. But Marco loved music, so he started listening to English songs every day, on the bus, at home, and during lunch breaks. At first, he didn't understand many words, but he kept going. Over time, he began to understand more and more. After 3 months, he was speaking much better. Music had helped him a lot. Our teacher said we could do the same. We can listen to music, podcasts, or audiobooks, anything in English. Listen every day. You don't need to understand everything. Just keep listening. It really helps. She gave us more advice: choose topics you enjoy. If you like football, listen to football podcasts. If you like cooking, watch cooking videos in English. When you enjoy the topic, you'll want to listen more, and when you listen more, you'll learn more. I like football, so I decided to look for football podcasts when I got home. One student asked, "What if I don't understand anything?" The teacher replied, "Start with easy materials. Use English at your level. Try listening and reading at the same time. It helps your brain learn faster." Then we did a short listening activity. The teacher played a recording of a man talking about his job. We listened and answered a few simple questions. I understood most of the story and felt proud. Later in the afternoon, I went to work and thought about the lesson. I remembered the 3 words: listen, understand, speak. At work, a customer spoke to me. I understood him better than I would have last week. I answered with simple words, but I spoke clearly. I felt more confident. Before going to sleep, I watched a short football video in English. I didn't understand everything, but I didn't worry. I remembered what the teacher said: focus on what you understand. I think that's a good way to learn. I don't need to be perfect. I just need to listen a little every day. On Saturday, I plan to listen to 1 podcast and 1 news story. I also wanted to try 1 English song. I would find the lyrics and read them while I listened. Now, I understand that listening is a big part of learning. I don't need to sit at a desk. I can listen anywhere, on the bus, in my room, or while going for a walk. I feel excited. I want to listen more and learn more. English isn't so hard when you enjoy the process. If you want to get better at listening, listen for 30 minutes every day. Enjoy what you hear. Let English become part of your life. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more heart-touching, real-life inspired tales, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a story. Your support means the world, and I'll see you in the next one.